I am so, I am so late. It's not even close to 1ish, is it? It's 2ish. Thank you, Google. I've had to download Google at least 3 times tonight. Um, Somehow, somebody took Facebook off of or YouTube off of my mobile devices. It's been a crazy night. Anyhow, I apologize and I'll take a deep breath and try to get over this. Um, oh, I tried to really get my thoughts together, and I don't know if it's going to work. So I don't know how long I'm going to be on tonight. But big question. I wonder if my cards are up here. I'll have to see if I can figure that out in a second. But my big question tonight was do you know the difference, or what's the difference between baseball and bankers? I will wait a little bit. I don't, I got this gut feeling nobody's coming, but that should give you a little clue as to what I'm going to talk about tonight. And um, it's bankers, not baseball. I just don't get it. I believe I did everything right. Um, I get a little backstory here. So I had renters. I've got a second house that I rent out that allows for the lifestyle I have today. And I mean, I don't have a glorious or extravagant lifestyle by any means. It's comfortable for me. I like it. I live alone with a bunch of animals, and I keep boundaries. I don't have a lot of close friends. I have two, three or four if you count their if you count their wives. I got four, uh, and then I have my family, and I couldn't be happier. I thought I had the best tenants in the world, and they were good tenants. They were with me a long time, and oh, late last winter, early winter, late fall, they'd ask if they could increase the rent for them at all. Uh, no, they may have been late once or twice, but it was always they always notified me, and they were just a pleasure to have as tenants. Um, every now and then something would go wrong, and I'd go down there and fix it. And um, after a couple of years of that, it seemed like everything was starting to go wrong around the holidays because it was. I started to if something was wrong or I had to go down to the Pell Lake area, Lake Geneva area, around Thanksgiving, I'd always take them a turkey. They thought it was great. They didn't know that the snowmobile club up here, that property, gives me a turkey every year. And you know, single guy, I'll cook a turkey, but well, they sure last a long time, and you get really tired of turkey. Anyhow, so I drop them off a turkey, and Christmas, I think I give them a ham, and then Easter, um, lamb. And I don't know if we made lamb or not, but that was the plan. And it was getting funny because a holiday was coming up, and I'd be getting a call something wasn't working. So yeah, I was more than happy to extend their lease or renew it, and nothing else was said, and all of a sudden things got kind of quiet, and then um, it was like they were on vacation, and I get a call, and um, one of their kids' girlfriends was at the house, and there was a broken pipe in the basement. So I think my nephew went over there and got it shut off, and the village came and shut the water off, and thank God it was found real quickly, and everything went through the sump pump, and no damage to speak of except this meter. And I get down there the following morning. I live a couple hours away, and go through the house and basement, and the heat was on upstairs, and it just didn't make sense until I go in the basement, and there's two heat ducts out in the main room, and one had tinfoil around it with band-aid, not tinfoil, aluminum foil with a band-aid, cutting the heat off. The other one was cut off coming out of the furnace, and a window in the basement had been um, kicked in, and apparently the tenant said my heating guy broke it a year or two ago, and I mean, I had no idea this happened. So anyhow, this is the middle of winter. That blows open, no heat in the basement, and the pipes freeze and it cost me to the tune of uh, just for that, just for the meter replacement, I think it was like 250, almost $300. And then my heating guy had to come over, emergency call. The bills just started adding up. Well, um, I'm gonna cut off fix. I fixed it, didn't say much, and they came back, and life was good. And still, the husband's not around. I can't figure, thinking something's funny, and all of a sudden I get another call. Oh, I had to go down. There was a leak in the shower. It was leaking into the kitchen, the second floor, from the second floor to the first floor, and I went down to fix it. And the parents are there, and my tenants, the kids are gone. Kids, they're probably 40 years old, late 30s, early. They got kids in high school, so whatever age I would put them in. And they were talking about his new job, and I was a little curious what new job where they wouldn't be home. And it turns out he couldn't get a job locally because the job market sucked. And he took a job in New Mexico or Arizona. And it kind of threw me back. And because it wasn't long before this that they were talking about renewing their 3-year lease. So I go home, I fix it and get the shower fixed. And the shower story is a whole nother story because it took me like 6 trips to finally get it fixed. It never leaked when I'm there. And anyhow, we got that fixed. But my tenant finally calls me and explains what's going on. And he said, really don't worry because I've got my resume out all around the Chicagoland area and back where we live. And I'm pretty sure next couple of weeks something's going to turn up, and don't give it a second thought. A couple of weeks later, a month later, I get a move out date 6 months early on their lease. So they wound up breaking their lease 6 months early. And every time I had been at the house, and this I think 5 years, it was a long time. They were there quite a while. The house was immaculate. I allowed 2 big, huge dogs in, and they would never let me in alone. And towards the end, with that shower leaking, they wouldn't let me in at all because kept postponing it. Oh, it's not a big deal. And this was after they, said they were moving out. And I just leave them alone. I like these kids. I no reason to suspect anything. Well, the husband calls me and says, well, how are we going to work the security deposit? We'd really like it before we head out. And I said, well, I got to come down and tour the house, but just give me your number, a place, and I'll do it, and I'll have it out the next day. I just, in good conscience, I just have to walk through the house and make sure it's okay. Well, they leave, and then I got tied up here for a day or two, and I wasn't really in a hurry, and they were on the road. Um, so I get down there with my checkbook, and I'm ready to write them a check, or actually go get a money order, so they wouldn't have trouble, cashing it in their new area. And I walk in, walk around the house, and I just sit down and cry. Before I even got in the house, there was a pile of garbage that was unbelievable out in the front on the stoop. And he said he had left some garbage, and there was a little bit more than would fit in the the garbage cans. And that he talked to the garbage people, and it was all set. Everything was cool. Well, yeah. If I could figure out how to do it, I'd do pictures of it. And I might do a thing later on it. But there was holes in the wall. I got to back up. I didn't see all. It was just, they cleaned, but oh, and the husband, father said, and the kids, there's some knife holes in the kitchen. Kids throwing knives, and kind of laughed it off. And I'm thinking, what? Okay. Sure enough, um, between the countertop and the cabinet here, like steak knives holes. Yeah. Um, it and it stunk. It smelled like dead dog in there. Just reeked, and I'd never smelt that before, because it was always nice. And every room had damage and needed painting, and just filthy. I don't think they vacuumed once. Uh, I get in the basement, and the cobwebs were so thick. When I went and cleaned that, um, I spent almost a half a day in the basement's only 30 by 30, and half of it's finished. So this other half where the furnace is, I spent almost a half a day just sucking cobwebs out and cleaning this room. Um, the yard holes, huge craters dug. It hadn't. I'd ask them before they left what the yard was like, and what I had what I need to mow right away. And he said, "Well, I mowed it a while back. You should be good." Well, oh my goodness! I get down there with my mower, and it hadn't been mowed that year, and just garbage. I just can't explain how bad it was. Um, then again, every room needed painting, and I get a realtor. Oh, I'm trying to rent it. I've already got ads out for rent. I've got people in line wanting to come and see it. And I said, well, I've got to go down there and go through the house and make sure everything's okay. I had to put renters off then. And it took a good month, if not more. Well, the realtor came and brought her crew in and did some work. And we could show it in a couple weeks, with the promise of fixing all this other stuff up. Anyhow, to make a long story short, about the holes, I already painted a couple of wall rooms, and we're getting towards. I'm getting caught up, and going what was the daughter's bedroom, and I'm looking at close, and this is a total repaint room. I have no idea what they did. It was just nasty, covered by cheap paint that bled through. Uh, and here's a sign, a tin sign, something about kids and their mess. I don't, it was some funny sign. Well, finally, I moved the sign because I'm getting ready to paint, and here is a hole this big in the drywall, kicked through. Again, I just about sat down and cried. Trim ripped off. The boys' room, I didn't see it until this is months later, when I went down this winter and did some more improvements to try to get it moving. And in the right light, there was graffiti on the wall that they had covered. But if the light hits it just right, um, it must have been gloss paint. It'll bleed through. So I had to repaint that. Make a long story short is they left me with thousands upon thousands of dollars worth of damage. And I got behind on stuff. I had to borrow the money. Um, Finally, I got behind on everything and had it up for sale, had it for rent, and nothing. We get some rent, get some activity in the rent, but I don't know. Half the time, I never heard back. Um, yeah, they looked at it. Nothing. I don't know what happened. Um, I thought I was smart when, like I said, initially I had it up and for rent and for sale, or just rent, I guess, with Zillow. And I had all these people coming through, and I'm pulling credit reports. And I used to be a broker, real estate broker, 40 years ago. Uh, I just I know what I wanted in there, and I knew I could probably get nailed for discrimination, and not in a bad way. Believe me, it's not. But at least I wouldn't think it was a bad way. I was just looking for a nice family to move in. That's what I really wanted, and that's what this house needs. It's a great family house. And so I um, called a realtor, the one that did actually found these tenants for me, and put her to work. She's the one that did all the work, and just nothing panned out. We didn't get maybe. Eventually, it got so so much time went by that renting it wouldn't have, I couldn't have caught up. So we put it up for sale, and it wasn't until after the first of the year here we finally got an offer, and it started out as a good offer, and then it just everything went sour, and got down to I finally, and it felt like I got totally bullied into it and pushed into it by my banker is talking to my realtor about stuff I don't know. I mean, they're doing these whatever they're doing, and then coming back to me and telling me what I'm supposed to do. And finally, I just gave in, and it wasn't a good price, or at least I could walk away debt free type thing. So we accepted it, and 2 days before closing, the tenants come up with a story about something about a trailer title, and it take 10 weeks to get it, and they couldn't close. Well, but they didn't ask for an extension either, and I thought about it, and I offered them a second. I take a second, a short term second, whatever the trailer's worth, until they got that straightened out. They could move in, have their house. Um, no penalty, no foul. Let's get this done. And no, they don't want to. And then they wanted their earnest money back. I said, well, I put a claim in for the earnest money, and I said, if they can show, and it was came down to just finishing up the financial contingency. And I said, they're entitled to it if they can come in with a statement from the bank stating that they do not qualify for that amount of money now or within 6 months. Oh, that amount of money on my property or another property for 6 months. And there's no letter. So they may have found something they want better, but they put my whole team, me, everything through, and my bank, this dilemma to back out. So we're waiting on that to settle. Yeah, the banks for a while were okay, because I also have a loan up here in my house up here, and my truck, and everything's contingent upon this house. And now it's all coming due, and they're talking foreclosures, and I don't understand it. I just can't get this concept or get away from it. I've been a client of these especially the bank in Pell Lake, for God, it's got to be over 10 years now. They're in a better position than they were when they lent me the money, because the houses, there's 3 times the equity in the house versus what I owe, should be anyhow. Pretty close to 3 times. And all I'm trying to do is sell it so at a price, market value. If I can sell it at market value, that allows me to continue living up here, put enough money away to help with the taxes. And I probably can live up here for another 5 or 10 years before the taxes drive me out. Maybe. It depends on how frugal I am. Anyhow, and that's all I'm asking. I'm not asking for anything free. Don't give me nothing. I'm not asking them to refinance. They're continuing to make interest. The same money, they probably increased it, interest. I don't know. But they're not at risk. I'm not a flight risk. I'm not going to dump it on them. I'm just trying to sell it and not go homeless, because after this offer, I got a low ball offer that if I would have accepted it, it would have paid most of the stuff off with nothing left except me having to get on the street. I would lose everything. And they're upset that I didn't accept this. Well, I don't know. It looks like I'm forced into possibly bankruptcy, but now I can't find, it's hard finding a bankruptcy attorney when you have no money. I went on the internet and look up bankruptcy for seniors and disabled. I mean, I got so many things wrong with me. They should pay me to represent me. I had one national company call me, went over everything what's going on, and their comment was, "Wow, you got a great case. You should have no problem winning this one. You should. You're gonna. You got a great case, but we're not interested in it because it's going to take a little work to get it done. And we're a national company. We cherry pick. We don't have to work on these cases. We just take the easy ones and call it a day." Really, that's nice. That was really nice to hear. And it's at least on my browser, it was the first one that came up under senior disabled bankruptcy. So I've been calling around now for a couple of days trying to find them. And supposedly, if I didn't have the money at the Pell Lake Bank that I was behind tonight at 4:00, they were going to start procedures. And we're talking under $2,000. I don't have it. I live on a disability limited income, and the house, Pell Lake House, is bought with the pain and suffering money that I got. It was my settlement, and that was the only safe place we could put it after when the housing market crashed. The banks were doing all that stuff with the mortgages. The second, third, fourth class mortgages, and everything crashed. That cost me just about all my settlement. So the banks lost my money because of their greed and their inability to conduct a proper moral business. And now I'm back with the banks, and they're going to cost me the rest of that should be protected and untouchable. It was all court, judge, court ordered, and all under supervision, and I don't know how it's at risk, but it is. And it was tax. It wasn't taxed because it's not payment. It's I don't know how it's called, but it's not income. It's you don't make income on pain and suffering. Well, I guess the bottom line is, unless a miracle happens here in the next couple of days, I'm all done dancing. Now, the answer to the question, today's question: what's the difference between banks and baseball? Well, let's look at the similarity. The difference is with baseball, you know you're playing a game and you can see the ball coming. With banking, I had no idea I was playing a game and no idea they've been pitching balls at me. It's and there's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do. I'm totally at their mercy, and they couldn't just be decent about it. I mean, again, there's none of these people are at risk. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to sell those property or that property down there at a reasonable price, market value or close to it, which pays everybody off and allows me a life, a future. Not great, there's not going to be any vacations. I'll be lucky if I can make it to town once a month, but I can live with that, and I can live very happily because that's the way I live now. Um, I just I wish I knew what to do. I've never, ever been so lost uh, in my life before. I've had major stuff happen, and I just hit the ground running. I started over dozens of times. Money, when I was able to work, money's the easiest thing to get. All you have to do is go to work. Today there ain't no sunshine, and yeah, truly grateful there isn't anybody here because I'm supposed to be very knowledgeable in depression and suicide and how to get through it, how to live life, be happy, and uh, well, I'm coming up in the stump wall or brick wall on this one. But thank God, uh, there's no plans going on in my head. That's when I really have to worry about when I've got suicidal plans because the thoughts is a daily bait. It's on a daily basis. I'm always thinking about suicide. And for the last year and a half has been the last year and a half, 2 years have been the best years in memory. Um, the depression, all that's still there. But um, when I think about the suicide every day, I'm coming up with, yeah, not today. Not today. It's a good day. I'm going to live. Or if it's a bad day, tomorrow's going to be better. I know these things. All these little tricks that I've worked on for years are working off and paying off today. Until now, um, I've got. I don't know what to do with this hurdle. I'm just scared to death. Anyhow, that's. I hope I didn't get too quiet there. I just noticed there is a mic thing. Um, I'm going to call it a night. Actually, I'm going to go out and work with the birds some more and plant some more flowers and just pray to God that something happens because let's top it off. I got today is now the second. I've got 13 days to come up with something because utilities are due. It's another bill I haven't been able to pay. I mean, I'm so embarrassed. I feel like such a deadbeat, and that's not me. I had gone from bad credit years ago. I couldn't get credit to when I got up here. I've changed. I mean, I changed my life around. I almost had a 700 credit score. I brought everything up, worked my butt off, became responsible, and within since last spring, summer, I just checked my credit score now and it's down to three something. I mean, I'm ruined. What did I do wrong? Tell me. I really would like to know what I did wrong. Um, what could I do to change it? What could I have done? What can I do now? I don't know. Um, is there no compassion in banking? Is there no common sense? Can't they see the big picture? And what kind of business takes a dump on your client after 10 years? Good questions. If you got an answer for that, get back to me. I will be back. I'm not going anyplace yet. And I guess we got a countdown now, 13 days, because I'm not going to go homeless. And that's something I'm not going to do. Let's figure out a way around this. Thank you. Good night. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. I can't even figure out how to turn this off. Good night.